please stand by because later on we're going to have like question and answer session where Prof Ham will answer your question. Right. Okay. So Prof Ham, so when we look at the topic that we discussed today, regain, rebuild, and reconnect, post-MCO advertising. Can you explain to us a little bit about what are the things that need to be regained, what are the things that we need to rebuild, and what are the things that we need to reconnect? Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Can you all hear me?
Yes. You?
Advertising hasn't changed in the COVID-19 CMO period, except that advertising is about capturing the minds of the consumer and in a persuasive manner. Of course, during this COVID-19, I think the topmost priority in the consumer's mind is the fear of COVID itself. So if you're trying to market anything, you have to fight for attention together with COVID to get into their mind.
Okay.
So just like in normal times, we have to fight for attention among other types of clutter competitors. So that is how I see it. In the real world, what has happened is that the business has suffered. As you may all know that some advertising agencies have closed down. Some have, shrunk. 20% pay cut is standard. That is standard. That is, in fact, if you don't give a pay cut, the staff get worried. So economically, we will be having some kind of negative effect because, as you all know, marketing, advertising is actually an engine of commerce. It helps money to circulate in the economy. And through purchase and repurchase, that is how the market, open market system works. So advertising is just an engine of it, one of the engines, actually a critical engine. So that engine has come to a close. It's been replaced by, like now what you see, Zoom. Most of the, meetings are also done over Zoom. Strategies and even collecting money also is through online nowadays. You will see that quite a few brands, especially around the world, they have used examples of this in their advertising. All I can say is that this is all short term, So you have instances where brands donate some of the money that they make from sales towards humanitarian reasons. There are some brands who don't do that, but who actually use it as a way of advertising. Just like, I call it Corona washing.
Corona washing, okay.
Yeah, just like greenwashing,
Okay.
When the green revolution was around, everybody is green. Everybody is eco-friendly and all that. So we have seen a phenomenon of Corona washing also around the world. Actually, the world is on hold at the moment. Now I think Malaysia yesterday only started to restart a bit. Also very cautiously. At the moment, I can tell you that like all other industries, the advertising industry also is suffering. They can't get collections on time, cash flow issues. Talent is finding difficulty getting jobs. I think freelancers are not so bad. Those people who are full-time, they are going to suffer a bit. So that is the state of the nation. The reality on the ground. So you can ask me about it and I will tell you what is this.
So, I mean, like from your answer just now, there's a few questions, coming to my mind. First and foremost, like how long do you think that our economy will take for our economy to go back to where it was before COVID? Because like we haven't, I think we haven't worked for 2 months. Like even the education industry is affected. Like everyone is affected. Like for 2 months, literally economic is not going anywhere. It is just like stuck. And then and everything changed. Like it's also like a reset button. The processes change in a company, right? More and more Malaysians now started to realize like, oh, maybe, working online is not that bad. Like, you can spend your time with your family at the same time working from home. You don't have to, run here and there. It's not too hectic for some. And for some, it's like, oh, I miss going back to work. Like some of my colleagues, like Dr. Z, who's also here today, she missed going back to work for sure. That one I know. All right. So like, first question is how long? Second question is it a reset button for us, especially Malaysians? Yeah.
Well, few things have gone back to basics. Staying in the house, emotions which we were detached from in the rat race, hustle and bustle of modern life. Suddenly we've come down to earth. The value, our value systems have been re-energized, we've revisited. When you look at that with the, what you call it, the same time was Puasa month. So don't forget our market, 70% is Muslim.
Yes.
So you have to think like this as a marketer.
All the bazaar closed.
All the bazaar closed. People have become more human, not say human, but a bit more aware of their feelings, a bit more aware of their existence, a bit more appreciative of their good health. You see, all these things that I'm saying to you are actually insights on how a marketer can use it to align their own brand purpose so that it's synchronized with what the people are thinking.
True.
So that there's no disconnect. So this, well, COVID has also, people rediscover love. I'm not sure, but whether staying home is a good idea. Sometimes the wife also get upset.
Get tired of looking at each other every day.
Connecting with children, these things, I think everybody have their own journey, will have their own version of this reconnection. So I don't have the, of course, I don't have the answer when this will end. If I do, then I will be the richest man in the world.
Okay.
But safe to say that if everything comes back to normal, to restart anything, it takes about 3 months. Yeah, that's the normal cycle for economy.
I think I like the fact that you say that it brings us back to the right values. Like very simple example. If you go to Mamak nowadays, it's not as much as like people lepak before until like 2 a.m. in the morning, 3 a.m. still at the Mamak eating, But now you can see like people feel like, oh, stay eating at home is more valuable than going out and just meet your friend. Eating at home, you can talk to your family members, and then a lot more people have start to cook on their own. Before, they don't even know how to like maybe cut the onions. Now they can cook like some fantastic dishes. So values, I think it's the concept of bringing back the values is something that I like. But in your perception, because how many advertisers out there, how many brands out there would realize that the coming back of these values and would use that as part of their content, you think?
I think the smart people, they will know. Yeah, there are a lot of smart marketers out there. They watch trends. They take research with a pinch of salt. They don't take everything for granted. They use their own brain to translate, interpret, and look for insights. This is nothing new. We find also that the trend, even in the office, where they don't meet their friends, meet their colleagues anymore. They communicate over Zoom or other methods, has actually allowed them to actually, it shows people up. So for example, in an organization, if you were working there for 10 years, but actually you're not productive, you can hide. But now, if you come onto Zoom and you have a staff meeting and you're not productive, actually the employer can find out very fast.
True.
So the employer also now realized already that,
Yep.
hey, I can do without an office, or I can do without this that person, because they're not adding any value to the conversation.
Yeah.
These are
Yeah.
some harsh truths that have come out.
Mm.
Now, in terms of the marketplace, brands are very hesitant.
Mm.
Yeah, they're playing a very cautious role because these things can backfire if they do it wrong.
Mm.
Like I said, we must understand the mindset of the current situation of our consumer.
Okay.
I only mentioned about COVID just now, but there's also the political side, which has gone a bit haywire and a bit wonky. So the mindset of of our consumer is being very conflicted by so many things.
Yeah.
So a brand goes out there and says the wrong thing, is going to be having a problem now.
Yep.
So they are also very cautious, and if they give promotion, they give price off. Okay, the consumers are very happy to learn about that. Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah,
retail
that's the thing.
advertising really.
I think I always tell, that is also something that I always tell my students, in a way, like consumers has becoming more educated. They are not just looking at like what you can provide to them in terms of services and also the product. Consumers nowadays looking into what can you give back to the society, like, you know, like companies that actually support a very strong value, for example, like support eco-friendly values, for example, right, are the companies that most of our consumers right now will appreciate the most and easier to attract the attention or create awareness to the consumers, like they are supporting something, and also that consumers would think in a way like, oh, by buying their product, actually I'm not only supporting, by buying the product, supporting the brand, I'm also supporting the society as a whole because they're giving back to us, you know, kind of thing. I think yeah, it's a very interesting thing. As we goes on, I think like consumers becoming more and more educated, it's becoming harder for the marketers to basically, you know, read them.
Yeah, that is correct. In fact, what you're talking about is what we call brand purpose.
Yeah.
See, products are nowadays almost at parity. This product gives this air conditioner makes me cool. That air conditioner also makes me cool. So what's the difference?
Yeah.
So they will say, oh, this one is more eco-friendly, or this one is more silent, or this one is antifungal, or whatever. So products are almost similar now, and customers also expect products to have a certain basic standard.
Yeah.
So that standard itself makes most products equal.
True.
So about, I think 5 years ago, this term came up in the industry. It's called brand purpose. So what is the reason for this product to exist on the planet? Well, functionally, the product delivers the benefits. Image-wise, the product has got the positive brand values to it.
Yep.
But what is the reason why it exists? So there have been a rush of a lot of television commercials that harp on brand purpose. Like in India, Unilever did a commercial whereby they said that, washing hands, not just for washing hands, but to keep clean, you can cook well, and your family will prosper, and all that. They bring in new values. So in a market that has parity, which is globally at the moment with online commerce, what is the difference? Whether it's cheaper or whether it's so, this brand purpose advertising has been quite a trend over the past 5 years. In fact, last year in Cannes, I think 50% of the award-winning advertisements were actually on brand purpose positioning.
Yeah.
The second point I want to make is coming back to our home ground. We are now in the COVID economy. So the people are very, very cautious about how much money goes out. Last time, they know lah. They impulse purchase. I'll buy extra. No problem lah. In fact, impulse purchase items will suffer now. So in the COVID economy, the consumer is seeing where he can cut or she can cut. It is now coming down to that kind of level already. So with that in mind, the marketers and the and the advertisers, they have to add value, right? They can't just give things half price all the time. They have to add value. So in adding value comes these things that you talk about.
Yeah.
The brand purpose and why does this product exist on the planet? You know, we have a purpose. We are here to serve humanity or whatever. That, those are not the words, but so we are seeing this a bit more acute now and more relevant in the COVID economy. Like I will buy this because I know that this is organic, or I will buy this because I know this is not a result of child labor, or I would. Now that has become important for our consumers.
True.
And you see more of this moving forward, especially in the COVID economy.
All right. I think like you just answered like Dr. Z question. Actually, there's a text at the side. Dr. Z says, what would be the most valuable advertising trend post-MCO? So I would say brand purpose.
Brand purpose will be one.
MCO itself, right? Like after MCO, what do you think about that? Like
I think the word is value.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's product value or whether it's humanitarian value or whether it's social value, I think the operative word would be value. You can put many permutations to that term.
Yeah,
I think bringing value in terms of maybe our price or whatever, but value, that would be the trend. And we are seeing also, for example, as you know, I publish weekly, and we are seeing trends around the world and research reports, which shows us that the consumer is not as stupid as we thought they were, you know. So they are, you know, it's sometimes we have to give due respect to the consumer.
Yeah.
Actually, the consumer is quite smart. And we are seeing trends when now brands who are not sure of their brand purpose are rediscovering themselves because they are not making any headway anymore with the consumer. So there's no, what we call in our there's no relationship.
Yeah. I think this is all goes back to the effect of the internet, the existence of internet, starting in the millennium years, where everything is easily found on the internet. So consumers are becoming more educated. They read more because everywhere, although they just go to Facebook, like I believe all of us just go to Facebook every day, but I mean, there's always like articles coming up and then like we read, so we know more. So it's harder for, I mean, like when you're more educated, it's hard for the marketers to actually manipulate in a way, right? The word that we used previously is manipulation. Like I would say, if let's say it is a one-way communication on TV, it's fine. Like we publish something, consumers straight away, you frame how the consumers think, and then they will follow that. But nowadays, when we have internet, like all the time, 24/7, people can talk bad about your brand. So you need to be extra careful. You need to be always on point. You need to be 24/7 awake and like know how to handle a crisis. Where as a marketers nowadays, you not only need to know how to do advertisement, for example, you need to do like 360 things. You need to know everything in order for you to survive in the market, I would say. So one student just now asked at the site here, he or she said about what can the future generations or the future graduates provide back to the industry? What are the things that is really, really important and thing that students really need to prepare themselves before they go into the industry so that they can, you know, give back to the industry?
Yeah, I'm afraid that there's a very boring answer to that question because we can't at the moment determine what is the next few months going to bring us. But I believe that from an employer's point of view, okay, they are looking for good people, not so high price. So naturally, graduates who are good and smart will be the entry level will be very easy for them because the employer can hire 3 people for the price of 1. So I mean, look at it that way, lah. Positive way. The other things about how to improve and all that, they don't change. We still the same people that we are. Sometimes I look at the COVID environment. And I think that this is actually the millennial environment, which is, you order your food and you stay in the house and you communicate only to this thing and you wake up whatever time you like, And I spoke to some of them and actually they find it quite boring. So we also don't have an idea whether this is the future and whether the millennials are really the people who know best. Because technology is always ahead of us. Yeah, that's a fact. We are always learning about the technology. That includes everybody, millennials to us, people like me. We know that technology is always going to be ahead of us.
Yeah,
we don't have to catch up with them. Of course, we learn about it, but we are not in a rush to catch up with them because we can never catch up with them.
Yeah, true.
So in that situation, young graduates with the fresh thinking will definitely be the way forward for employers who are looking forward to new ideas and new experimentations and stuff like that. And graduates, on the other hand, can also actually opt for the gig economy. So I don't see it as a unemployment issue for graduates, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Unless, of course, the graduates choose not good, then we can't do anything about it. But I mean, generally speaking, if they are of a certain standard and Taylor's University standard, I think they should not have a problem getting a job. They should not think that it is it's going to be worrisome for them. I don't think that's
okay. All right. Yeah, you mentioned about gig economy just now. I think for some of you who is not really familiar with the term of gig economy, it refers to all of this e-commerce economy, like the Food Panda, the Lazada, and all of like Food Panda. What are the companies we have? I read online and order.
A lot of e-commerce now.
Yeah, almost all of the e-commerce. That's also including the Uber thingy, right? For those of you that like the transportation Uber, that is also what we call as gig economy. But I think, what do you think? Because there's a two perspective here when it comes to gig economy. Some people say it's like, although the gig economy is like developing, but like not everyone want to join because, I mean, in terms of the work itself, like, I mean, the work nature, for some who, especially graduates, would think like, oh, I don't want to join because I think like, why do I go and study degree and at the end of the day, I send food from one house to another house, kind of thing. Like, what is your perspective on that?
Well, if you specifically talk about advertising or marketing business graduates, the service that they provide is a bit different from what a machine will provide. Like a machine will produce something and it'll deliver and all that. But no, what they provide is thinking. Whether it's creative thinking, strategy thinking, what they do is they take the business problem and they create a simplified solution to it. So their input is thinking, and they learn how to think in a course like yours. Yeah. And then when they come out through experience and through trial and error, through past case studies, they learn what works, what doesn't work, and their service is thinking. And thought is the most expensive commodity on the planet.
Sure.
Yeah, if you ask somebody to sit in a corner and think about Colgate toothpaste for 2 days, they will tell you to piss off. But this is exactly what we do.
Yeah.
This is what we do. Our brain doesn't. Sometimes we are thinking. Sometimes we cross the road and we don't really realize we've already crossed the road because we're thinking about the brief and what kind of solutions that we can provide, and we have to think upside down, in, out. So, as long as you are providing a product like this, you will survive in any situation, including war.
True.
Yeah. So I think it's
With
thinking.
the current, I said with the current news, I'm not sure whether you're aware of it or not, like this news goes around saying it's like soon enough in a few years, like in the future, a lot of the industry will replace their employees with AI, artificial intelligence, but only a few industries that would maintain or that would stay. And as those are the industries of creative industries, because this is something that it's not something that a robot can think. You know, like a robot cannot be creative. I mean, like they follow formatting and they follow the language created by the IT people. So at the end of the day, they cannot think in terms of creativity and whatever not. So they say that the world is totally going to go 360 degrees the other way around, where previously people would say, oh, creative people, creativity, all this creative subject, all this artsy subject is something that is not as so important. People like subject that is a bit more technical, like law and business and accounting and all. But soon enough, when they realize that creativity that will bring people somewhere, then it will get 360. Everyone will start to learn creativity, being creative more than the technical skills, you know. So that is just on the perspective of research that were conducted before. Okay, let us go into like a bit relaxed question. In your latest issues in your latest magazine that you forwarded to me, you list out all the best advertisement for Raya. So like, okay, because before Raya, we already had this MCO thingy where people are all locked down. So, I mean, like, is this something that is well prepared? All this advertisement that, you know, that you get and people voted for, is it well prepared 2-3 months before, or how do they do the recording and everything?
Okay.
You know?
Okay.
Yeah.
Before I answer the question, just let me revisit what you said earlier.
Mm.
You see, in the world of machines, as long as our brain is not transplanted, our heart is not transplanted, the people who think will survive. Because you are very unmachine-like.
Yeah.
So what you are teaching here is a unique thing. You're not following the what you call it, the assembly line type of thinking, you know. So it's good news for students that in a world of machines, you are more valuable now than before. Okay, the Raya commercials, yes, we did a compilation of Raya commercials. We did a survey, 2,000 more people voted. We had about 70 plus commercials this year, and we shortlisted about 40 and all that, and then the people voted. Generally speaking, the standard of Raya commercials this year has dropped, generally speaking. Okay. I think the top 10, not so bad. Yeah. And also because of MCO, the limitations of being able to shoot physically outside were there. But there are, of course, as you can tell on the internet, so many people shoot from one Zoom to another Zoom. So they've used all these techniques, and that has helped. I think a few of the, advertisers also use old footage. That means the Raya commercials from previous years, but they weave a story around it, you know, a new script. So that was very interesting to see. But generally speaking, I think the Raya commercials this year were not as good as last year.
Okay. How do you measure like the advertising and advertisement is good or not? I mean, like, I don't think you look only on the creative part, right? There are also some other things that you look into. I mean, like, to tell all of the students, like some of them might not be aware, like what are the criteria of a good advertisement?
Okay. Like for example, let's just talk about Raya commercials, yeah? Obviously, Raya commercials that are touching, emotional. This is a result of the late beloved Yasmin Ahmad doing all those emotional commercials. They're still in the emotional halo, you know.
Yeah.
So that kind of stuff works. But then that's not the only emotion that works. I mean, funny also works. You look at some of the Thai commercials; they're very funny, which we have not done well yet in our market lah. Maybe humor is something that is an opportunity for us to capitalize on. I feel that any commercial or any communication that connects, whether through humor or through sadness or through tears or whatever, as long as they connect, there is already an opportunity for you to get your message through.
Okay.
opportunity, I say, not guaranteed.
Okay.
Based on that, I would say that if it doesn't connect, then it's pointless.
Okay.
Yeah. So that
What
would be a good barometer.
Yeah, what define a good advertisement and excellent advertisement? What are the difference between those two? Like, some can be all good, but like, okay, there's like one or two gap between good and excellent, and what is that for you personally?
Well, that's the difference between good and great.
Yeah, good and great. Yeah.
Is but let me not let me also qualify this. Students and us, rather students, they always get to see all these nice commercials, these award-winning commercials. But like for example, say in America, maybe 3% of the commercials are nice. Actually, 97% of the commercials are quite boring. So don't feel disheartened. It's the same thing everywhere in the world. Even in Malaysia, it's not that all our commercials are going to be great. No. 99% of our commercials are crap. Maybe 1% is good. So sometimes we get this false impression, Western markets are doing some really good commercials. Actually, please, there are commercials that sell sanitary, baby napkins. There are commercials that do the important stuff, that inform and communicate the retail message. And there are commercials that also ring home thoughtful values, So there's a mix. So first and foremost, we must remember that we are not a unique market. So for example, if 10% of the Raya commercials are good, that's okay, that's okay. You don't have to beat ourselves over it. So from good to great, that is the difference. The connection is, if it resonates, people talk about it. And as you mentioned, today we're in a two-way situation. I'm not sure about the two-way 100% because I think half of that dialogue is taken over by chatbots. But real people, if answering means, then really the engagement is high. I think that would be a good measurement.
Okay. Interesting. So that's why you always go for voting system, is it? Because you want the highest engagement.
Yeah, you see, it must bring a smile to your face or a smile to your heart. Or tear to your eye or whatever. But it's not mandatory. It is not a must. If it does, it does. Sometimes there are some commercials that you cannot connect with it until later. So when you think about the commercial again, then suddenly something else connect. So whenever you see that commercial, you find a new meaning to the commercial. That is the type of commercial that is very interesting. Whenever you look at it, you suddenly find some new meaning to it, new reason to connect. That is again another new reason to connect, which you never knew before. Anyway, this is deep stuff, lah.
Okay. All right. Okay. Now, my next question.
I think what we do, we can answer some of these questions. I don't know whether I covered all the questions, Doc. Let's check. Lady asked here just now. What should be added to the advertising and brand management course now that we learn a lot of new norms after MCO? Okay, my answer to that is after MCO, when everything goes back to normal, we will lose the connection again. We will lose the connection again, and we will become less human, so to speak.
Okay.
And if we become less human, we will not be able to be more creative.
Okay.
All I'm saying is, if you want to add a course, if you want to add a module, I think half an hour meditation would be good.
Meditation? Half an hour meditation, Prof cannot cover all the chapters. Student already like, how cannot cover the chapter? No?
You can charge for it.
I think half an hour sleeping in class will be beneficial. Like take your time, sleep, meditate.
You'll be amazed when you connect that way. That you'll be amazed because then you are in the now. See, the trouble with us, if you're not in the present, you always think about something else. So this one will make us grounded.
Yeah, okay, it catch my interest when you mentioned about people become less human. Just now we already talked, when we start off, we talked already about like a bit of business communication. Then we go into like, advertising. Part of the topic is how does this COVID-19 affect our human communication or human interactions? Now, My question is, do you believe, okay, I have this is from my perspective, my own individual perspective, that before COVID-19, I guess like a lot of the new generation didn't even know how to interact, like face to face. They would prefer to go online. They would prefer to chat online. I mean, like even based on research, it says that the new generation, they feel awkward when they are connecting. I mean, like face to face per se. Like they lost sense of the humanistic value sometimes. Like for example, when people say like, "Oh, my father passed away," some of them didn't even know how to react to that. I mean, like because they constantly on the phones, they feel like online is a new reality. So when we go into COVID-19, I believe like slowly they already started to feel like, oh, okay, they started to learn about like what is face-to-face interaction, staying at home, talking to their mom and dad and whatever not, and how to be more empathetic in a way. So in your perspective,
It's an interesting reflection. I would say to our students, don't be too hard on yourself. Life is, I mean, you know, you're good in what you do, you know, you're unique in your own way. You shouldn't punish yourself just because people think that you're awkward. No, you're not. You're not. You're you. To me, that's what I really admire about the youth, you know. It's just that there's so many labels to live up to. It's not fair, you know. I sympathize with that. I sympathize with that because they're us. They're us, you know. It's like, you know, when you listen to this, every day our good Director General of Health gives us the update on, you know, how many COVID. Actually, that is the most powerful advertising slot. You ask me. I don't know why nobody is speaking any of this, but I'm really scared of that.
Okay.
Anyway, coming back to that, and then he announces, you know, says 40 new infections. Then he breaks down, no, the 39 are foreigners, one is us, one is a local. Actually, he's doing his job by giving you the technical breakdown. But actually, he's wrong for us to assume that the 39 people who are foreigners are not part of us.
Okay.
The same with the young. You see, actually, they may be not part of the main limelight or what's happening in our lives generally, but they are part of us. They are an inescapable part of us. So when you listen to something, when people say something, you should question. Because this is what God gave you the gift to. That's what you're teaching, critical thinking. You see, it's very valuable. So when they say, okay, 39 people, foreigners got infected, only one Malaysian only got, only one of them is, only one of the 40, you know, is a Malaysian. Actually, we must realize as adults, this is not a small problem. It's 40, you know. So, I mean, we can keep talking about reflecting, but that's the wonder. That's the wonder of our business. We wake up every day and we find new solutions to old problems.
Okay. Right. The other day when you request us to, you know, list out the question first on Google, I put the question on Google form so that they can list out the question, because you said like it's good for us to engage with the audience and get questions from them first. You know, like if they have any question inside of their head, just listening to the topic. Now, one of them brought up talking about the ethic of using pandemic, like the COVID-19 or the pandemic, as part of the content of the advertising. So what do you feel about this? Because I mean, the justification was we should feel a bit more, feel more empathetic. For some, they should feel a bit more empathetic and not to use it as a content for their advertisement, for any of their part of the creative writing. But for you yourself, what do you think about that in terms of the ethics? ethical values.
What is the question exactly?
Or is it not ethical? The question brought up in the Google form was that it is not ethical to use unfortunate situation like this as part of the content of their creative writing content, like
I see,
video or whatever. Yeah. So what do you think about that?
Well, for decades, advertising has been the whipping boy lah. It's the easy one to punish always, because it's in everybody's face, and I can do better than that. Oh, this one is distasteful. Oh, this one don't respect me.
Yeah.
This is normal. I can't stop Maideen from coming out with a stupid message as long as he pays for it. You know what I mean? So you cannot be morally responsible for everybody. If you are true blue advertising, marketing professional, you just stay the way you are. You have your own human limited. Your own understanding of sensitivities. Express that, and you will steer clear of all these social stigmas that are associated with advertising. Because I believe that advertising is a real business. It is not this funny stuff, No, it's not. It is real. We walk into boardrooms, we meet the chairmans of the board, or we meet the boss who's got a noodle factory in Malacca. They tell you the problem that they're having, and you have to find a way to, advertising works this way. The client will tell you what the problem is. You don't have to come up with a message, The problem, he will tell you what the message is. What we have to do is how to tell the message.
Communicate that message. Yeah.
How? Yeah. He will tell you what, or she, and you will tell how to communicate. Don't be an expert in the noodle business. Be an expert in humans, in humanities. Don't be an expert. He will tell you, this noodle, because this one, I want to communicate this message only. This noodle is really halal. Okay.
Sorry to interrupt. I think there is a question from one of the students that it may have moved up in the chat. From Nicole, she asked, what would be your advice to mass comm graduates for next year after the pandemic, for the gig economy, especially for freelance writers, and so on? What would be the most sustainable one, if in your opinion?
Well, freelance is actually a specialty expertise, meaning that I will hire a freelance writer if that freelance writer is good in this or that. Same with freelance designer, good in maybe the product, design, or maybe graphic or animation. So freelance is a specialized industry. For a fresh graduate to go into a freelance industry without any, track record they can talk of, then they can just sign up for this stuff like Fiverr online. There are places that they can provide the input where people go there and sign up, and they want a logo for $10. I think you all are aware of these things, yeah. So you can start in this kind of sites. But if you want to do freelance for the industry, maybe people you meet every day, I think it'll be a bit difficult unless you have proven yourself to be good in this. But there are a lot of sites apart from Fiverr which provide a lot of stuff, a lot of services. For example, somebody can do voiceover for you and send it to you in 24 hours, sounding like Obama, for example, or somebody can do it. I got logos designed for $10 on Fiverr, for example. They delivered to me three options in 24 hours. So that is the real gig economy, where the price is really down. So if you are a specialist writer, say for example, who writes annual reports or financial writing, you do freelance. Oh yeah, of course. So freelance come under that. For me, I see it as a consultancy lah. So you're gonna go into gig economy, you can go into online. You can provide a translation for this word somebody's looking for in Amsterdam, in Bahasa Malaysia, or whatever. You can find this mother tongue. You can go to these kind of places. So online, you will find that kind of opportunity.
Okay. Now, looking at your write-up most of the time when you write on your magazine, you like to touch about like some economics. You'd like to use economics economics jargons and terms, and like most of the time you're using economic as part of your write-up. So do you think like learning economic, I mean like learning basic economic would be an added values to the future advertisers, I mean students, advertising students?
Yes, yes. Basic, yeah. You don't need more than basic.
One.
That's a basic only, yeah.
Yeah, because the current situation, right? Yeah, the current situation right now in everywhere, like communication students, yes, we learned branding, which is a little bit of business, like very basic one. Then of course we learn the creative part, but like none of the schools in Malaysia actually do basic economic for advertisers and brand management.
To a lot of people, economy is a big word. So when I use those kind of words that you talk about in my writing, I will call them business words. To use words used in business. Because I believe that what we are doing is a serious business.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, there is the fun part of it, but we have to come up with serious solutions to serious problems. Somebody sets up a factory, somebody builds a big building, and then in the end, he cannot sell the products. It's pointless. So we have a role to play. I think for graduates to have a basic understanding of economics is enough. I think you read the Adam Smith's Wealth of Nations is more than enough. First 2 chapters cukup already.
First 2 chapters.
More than that. Because like I said, what happens is that you don't want to be an expert to tell the client about economics. You want to keep quiet so the client will tell you what the problem is.
Yeah. You want to understand the client's problem.
So let them talk. Every situation is a different problem, you see. Yeah. And then you are going to tell them how to say it. It's very simple. Yeah. Okay. Even in strategy, people who are business graduates, for example, they know the template. But what's the magical part is they take the template and customize it exactly to how it should fit. So this how analogy is very important in my teaching, in my beliefs, and I use a lot of business language in my magazine because I don't want people to think that advertising is a fly by night business. Actually, it's a serious business. And I'm proud to be a torchbearer for that.
Yeah, I think like a lot of people still have that thought in their mind, like advertising is just an advertisement. Like they cannot bring themselves outside of the box and think like in a bigger perspective. That's the problem right now. Okay. One last question before I open up to the floor for question. One of the question that were brought up also from Google mentioned about the current pay of employees in most of the industries is very low. The current pay, current salary of a lot of the fresh grad, salaries position is very low. So how do you motivate and advise the current students about this, like to still go to the industry and work and stuff? Yeah. What is your advice on that? Yeah.
I think the best way I can advise is to tell you my story.
Okay.
Since we are in the storytelling business.
Yeah.
The current students are very lucky. They are in the university. I didn't go to university. I was a waiter. I was a waiter in a deaf and dumb restaurant in the Kentucky Fried Chicken in Jalan Imbi. They actually thought I was deaf and dumb.
Right.
And my gate crashed into advertising, which is a book by itself. I started at 250 ringgit making coffee, running the projector. Now, 6 months later, I was earning about 11,000 ringgit. Remains a mystery to me.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
So when you talk about salary, I said the 2 things I will tell the students or graduates. I never had this advice, by the way, when I first started that I'm sharing. I will say 2 things. One is get your foot in the door. at whatever cost. If you're really interested in joining this company, which is amazing, for example, just first thing is get your foot in the door at whatever cost. 150 ringgit also go. Because the moment you're in there, then shine. That's what I did. I went for 250 ringgit. But the moment I was in there, I didn't sleep. I just shone. So students who are listening, they can take my story as an answer to the question you gave and interpret it in their own way. Look for your inner strength. Like we say, search for the hero inside yourself. You know, in life, I cannot tell you the perfect answer to everything. You press this button, you get a job. No. Like in life, nobody also can value you, whether you are 1,300 ringgit worth or you are 7,000 ringgit worth. There are credit writers who earn 80,000 ringgit a month. In Malaysia, are you that? No, because you're not proven yourself. But you believe you're that, you can be that. So you have to search inside yourself, and then you have to fight because you are competing. You have to be a very competitive person to be in this business. So it's good you're coming to a university and you're studying and you consider yourself lucky to learn and all this kind of stuff. But when you go into the workforce out there, two things. If you're interested, get your foot in the door and then paint your own canvas.
Okay, right. Thank you, Prof. So I want to open the floor to any of the participants. If you guys have any question for Prof. Harmandar. Anyone? You can unmute and ask any question that you want.
It would be good to see your face moving a bit also, I mean, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you can also open your camera if you want.
Very large lips just now.
Anyone? Senyap ni.
Type out also if you feel. Yeah.
Okay, Prof.
Yeah.
Oh, hi. Sorry. Yeah, hi. Okay, I was wondering, like, now that we are under the recovery MCO, right? Is out of home advertising still relevant? What do you think? Should we go on that path, or should we just concentrate more online still? But you know, it's recovery MCO now, and it should be for the rest of the year, perhaps. You know, so for marketers who are still looking to connect with their audiences, what do you think about out of home?
Well, I can report to you what is happening.
Yeah.
Most of the advertising platforms have turned upside down during MCO. Most. I think outdoor advertising, the spend came almost to zero for some people.
Yes, that's right.
So this is not even a crisis; it is a catastrophe. Blue Ink, the largest magazine publisher, closed down, finished,
right.
Evaporated. Star is retrenching about 500 people more next week. So if you talk about how the advertising platforms are doing, I can tell you that the only people making money are Google and Facebook. Who don't pay
people,
money.
Yeah, but people are moving around right now. I think there's a lot more traffic than before. So, you know, I mean, still Google and Facebook would be your recommendation for now, lah.
I mean, specifically outdoor advertising. Let's talk about outdoor advertising. I feel that most of the outdoor advertising messages are wrong. I mean, you know that people are only got 3 seconds to look at it, whether they're moving or in a traffic jam. That day I was in a traffic light, about to turn. I mean, it was red, so I had some time. I looked at the message and I saw that before I can read the message, I had to turn. So the people who are doing these messages they got it all wrong. 90% of the advertising messages on outdoor, personally, is a waste of money. I honestly believe. I think the students will agree with me that it is true. Nobody is calling their bluff. Nobody is bold enough to say, hey, this doesn't work, lah.
Yeah.
But it's true, it doesn't work. I mean, this is the medium. Outdoor is the medium for GIFs. For example, I believe. It's like 4 seconds done. That's what I believe. I believe that it should be a medium for words. And you must know that I can only read for 10 seconds or maybe just one word. No, the brands want to put the logo, want to put this, want to put that. So it's a mirror reflection of a poster where you don't have time to watch. So I think the people who use outdoor are also guilty of its ineffectiveness. And so they blame, oh, there are no cars on the road, so no point. Okay, so now cars on the road, where's your budget? Still not spending. So this dilemma, which I feel that they are not. So I think maybe our students should come up with an outdoor campaign and teach them a lesson.
That's true. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Prof.
All right, thank you, Z. Amber, do you have any question? Because you want to talk something? Amber S, do you have any question?
Yeah, your mic is unmuted, so we were thinking you wanted to ask the question. Yes. No, I mean Amber, right?
Yeah, Amber.
She's not there. I think she's probably doing something else.
Okay, all right. So anyone else have any questions for Prof. Harmandar related to advertising, related to communication per se, or just a general communication questions that you have, or maybe your prospect for the future, like what you want to be next, what you want to do next after you're done with your study. So anything? No? Sure? Sure? Okay, all right. I think it's now 12:29, just at the right time for us to basically stop our...
Sorry, there is a question from Mahi actually.
Okay, Mahi. Yes.
Yes, just in time, Prof. Ham, Mahi asked if there is, now that everybody's online and digital, is there a future for influencer marketing?
Yeah. Influencer marketing is a fancy term. It's a current jargon. We used to call it testimonial advertising, you know, somebody testify for your product. Yes, I think influencer marketing and all the other marketing tools, including radio, what have you, have a role to play, have a reason for being. And it is how we use it that's most important. Like, for example, let's just define influencer marketing. Influencer marketing is like Dato Sri Vida, she's got so many followers, or some film stars got so many followers. So they use the influence of this celebrity to rub off onto the brand. And hopefully the brand gets sales, from it. So the balance of trying to interrupt or trying to marry your brand value with the influencer is the challenge.
Yeah.
So sometimes you overdo it. So you got to use the language that the ZRV uses with hands. So you're going to change your copy to that, you know, so that you can talk. But sometimes people don't do that, you see. So the influencers get angry with them and stop. You know, I'm not going to tweet. I tweet one time, I know 500,000 people see, you know. So influencer marketing is a very interesting subject, and done well with the proper understanding of it can bring value. But remember that there are also some pitfalls. What happens if the influencer is found out to be a child molester or a drug addict, or worst case scenario, dies tomorrow, you know? So these are the things. One last question. What is the most crucial skill an advertiser should have apart from creativity?
What is the most crucial skills that advertisers should have apart from creativity?
I think I want to define this thing carefully a bit. Advertiser is a person who advertises. So when we work in an advertising agency, for example, we help the advertiser to advertise. So advertiser is actually a marketer, right? A marketer of a brand. Say the brand manager of Milo. He's an advertiser who advertises. We in advertising agency, we don't advertise. We only provide advice on how to advertise. So I just want to make this definition clear in the question so that And the answer, you all understand what it means, right? So what is the most crucial skill that the advertiser should have apart from creativity? Actually, the advertiser doesn't have to be creative because the advertiser relies on the agency to be creative. But that doesn't mean the advertiser cannot be creative. Office boy also can be creative. Anybody can be creative. Creative doesn't belong exclusively to the advertising agency. But an advertiser must have a good understanding of how to judge good advertising. And he must or she must judge it against the market objectives. If the objective is to increase sales, so that they will, the metrics will be applied accordingly. So an advertiser should have a basic understanding of creativity, should have a smile on the face, should allow freedom of expression from the creative person, and let it give a proper environment for it to breathe, and hopefully comes up, the result will be an amazing campaign. And finally, they have to approve the campaign, right? Because, you come up with the best campaign, it doesn't see the light of day, also no point. So working with the advertiser, you also must understand who the advertiser is. And you as an advertising agency got to pujo the advertiser accordingly to buy your idea. So I always say in advertising, the first law is you must be able to advertise yourself. If you cannot advertise yourself, how do you expect people to take your proposal and believe in you?
True.
Like for example, when you show a Petronas storyboard, for example, you put about 4 frames. You draw the storyboard. Okay, this one, the next scene. So the person is judging, the advertiser is judging. Okay. Now, is the advertiser buying the storyboard and approving it because of the storyboard, or is it because of you? This is the question. So I can tell you 50% of the time, they buy because the idea is good. But the other 50% of the time, they buy because they have faith in you. That they buy you. That you will be able to make this advertisement really great.
Yeah.
Our great, dearly departed, beloved Yasmin Ahmad, 50% of her skill was selling. She was amazing saleswoman, salesperson, I mean, so if you're not there, very difficult to sell. So the advertiser is not buying your idea most of the time, but also buying you. So the advertiser got to appreciate. So you also got to build a relationship with the advertiser.
Yeah, I think most importantly for you to be creative as an advertiser is creative, critical, and persuasive. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Three things, right?
Like,
persuasion.
It's like for life. When you talk to somebody, like I'm talking to you. For me, I have for me to explain to you, when I see you nodding, I know you like it. So this the way life is. There are other skills also, of course, you will learn, when you present something and the person doesn't like it, how to make the people change their mind. There's also body language techniques. There's a lot of learning in sales. And this, as long as we are actually salespeople. We just think that we are big timers, but no. So sale is not a 4-letter word. Don't be shy of it. Everybody sells everything. So just be good at it. It just happens that we in advertising, we use the sales technique of writing, of visualizing, of storytelling as our medium of expression.
Okay, right. Ms. Mazura, you have any question?
Yes, Dr. Izzuddin. Good afternoon, Prof. Ham. Thank you so much for the sharing. I've been listening all this while, but only now I am appearing. But anyway, I do have a question, and I'm sorry it's going to be overrun a little bit. Okay, I heard you, Prof. Ham, when you said that the impact of the COVID-19 on the advertising industry, even in the PR agencies also, I'm sure you have heard, you have read, they are making people go and leave, So now students are very, very concerned, my students especially. So the focus and why I am asking you this question in front of at least 47 people here is to see what exactly is your opinion. Now we know there are gray lines in between public relations and advertising. Okay, so with your experience, how do you think the universities should select subjects or modules, or what kind of an approach to prepare our students now, so that not only in terms of creativity, I know you mentioned creative industries in some of your or your previous marketing issues and all that. I've been reading, I've been following though, okay, and also how do we get this in, or what kind of a module should we introduce to students, so that students will say, yes, when I looked back at Taylor's University, we did this already, okay, to equip the students. So what are your thoughts on this? Thank you.
Good question. Actually, even job titles are changing as we speak. You know, now you got chief technology officer, the technology writer. You know, you got a lot of new things. Of course, but if you're good, you're good. This is my mantra. You know, if you believe that you're good, you will be good. And if you think that you can actually get into this company and do that, you will get it. So it's all about belief. That is my first human response to the question. Second thing is, people say, try to be imaginative in approaching employers. It's true. Let's look at the graduates who actually go for, I'm not for internship, but otherwise nothing. Yeah, I'm talking about really going for interview. Actually, a lot of these graduates are very ill-equipped at interviews. I'm not referring to our current company. I'm talking about generally speaking, you know. And employers after a while get fed up, you know, like Job Street, you know, 1,000 resumes, they fed up. So in the end of the day, they ask their friends, hey, you know anybody good? So the system doesn't work actually. The classifieds all don't really work in that sense. You have to make your own job. Think like that. How did I think that as a coffee boy, I was going to become a creative director? I created it. So I'm not saying that, you know, everybody is me or I'm everybody. I'm just saying that you all just listen to what I say and then you think about it. You create your own job. So if the person looking for a Malay translator, for example, I say you're the best Malay translator in the world. And just believe in that and go for it. Especially like PR. A lot of people think that PR is a poor cousin of marketing. I don't think so. I think the PR companies, the problem they have is that they have their own problems. And sometimes I say certain things the students may not understand because it's so industry level thinking. But let me just share. See, when you go for a press conference, you have a press release, right? And the press release is one press release. It takes about 100 people to approve it. So that one press release comes out. And then they give it to all the reporters. Then the reporters go back and then they write. They're not an expert, you know. They just take the A and B and the C and the mixed match and they write something. They give the editor. So all the news that comes out the next day is the same. Now just think to yourself, if you invited, say, the fashion magazine, you invited, say, a television station that talks about news only, and say you invited another person who is what you call it, a radio station or whatever, which talks about different areas, and you customize your press release to each of them. What are the chances of the press release coming out? Very good, right? But no, they do the lazy way. Send the press release. So there's so many things that the young, especially those listening now, are going to reinvent after listening to me or anybody else. They're going to reinvent. And they're going to come up with this amazing stuff that is going to change the rules of public relations as we know it. Because these weaknesses in advertising or public relations and marketing have existed for a long time. And they will be corrected by the new generation who will say, yes, I will go the extra mile to make the release, you know, so that this magazine will actually print it.
Yeah. But, you know, Prof, one thing that I will always think, the problem is because some of us might be like academicians a bit more disintegrate with the industry. So I mean, like we the academician, we teach like what it's supposed to be, but in the industry, the way it happens is they didn't follow how it's supposed to be done. So when the new generation come into the picture, everyone would thought like, okay, this new generation going to change the situation, they're going to make something, but they have a tendency to also follow the way of their seniors, because I believe that here in Malaysia, we still have that culture where there's seniority and superiority based on experience and age. So the seniors will sometimes say it's like, oh, you just follow what I say because I work longer than you. So they have a tendency to follow that, and they have a tendency to, you know, follow the wrong way. So what would you say about that? Like, it's not that they don't want to change, but they have been demotivated not to change the situation by the current employees.
We can't change the top-down mentality, but we can break the rules, lah. You know. I say that learn the rules and then break them. Learn the rules and then break them. And if you break the rules, somebody blame you for it. Say, no, I know the real rule. It's not that I broke the rule because I didn't know the rule. That is not a crime. So the culture of intimidation is there, as you mentioned. But I think that I believe that the youth are stronger than that. I believe our students are stronger than that.
Okay.
Way stronger than that. Yeah. I believe.
Thank you, Prof.
Hopefully,
Ham.
right?
Yeah.
At least they come here, they know that the right thing to do. Okay, thank you, Prof. Ham, for joining us. Thank you so much for your time. And thank you to all the academicians that joined us today. And thank you to all the students that spent your time for the last 1 hour with us. I think we have get a lot of input, right? So to conclude today's session, I would say from the topic itself, we need to regain, moving forward, we need to regain the consumer, rebuild the values, and reconnect humans, I would say. Right, thank you so much, everyone. Have a good day ahead and see you again. Thank you, bye.